Hello, I'm Chen Kang. In this video, I'm going to talk about data collection in qualitative research. In my previous video, I have introduced the qualitative research in general, and I talk about the procedures of qualitative research, including preparation, data collection, and data analysis, 3 stages. Today, I'm going to talk about the data collection in qualitative research in details. There are 4 main methods to collect the data in qualitative research. There are observations, interviews, documents, and audio-visual materials. First, observations. Crosswell defined the observations is a way that researchers take field notes on the behavior and activities of individuals at a site. So it's basically it's like the researcher is an observer to say to take the field notes of the things happened, the people's behavior and the activities, blah blah blah. As for taking the field notes, normally there are 2 ways. One is unstructured way. It's just taking the notes as the researchers like or in the researcher's own style, or the semi-structured way is the research. In this way, the researcher will list some prior questions and pay attention to those points during the things happened and record it. In observations, Crosswell lists 4 different options of it according to the rule of researchers. The first one is complete participant. In this option, researchers conceal the rule and they do the same things as the other participants. Other participants will also don't know the researcher. This one is a researcher. The second one we called observer as participant. In this option, the researchers also is one of participants, and researchers do the same thing as participant, but his role is known by other people. The third one is participant as observer. So in this case, observations rule secondary to participants rule. The researchers this way is more emphasize the researchers to experience the things than observe the things happen. The fourth is complete observer. In this case, researchers is just observer without participants. It's like I'm a researcher. I want to reserve a class, a lessons, what happened, and I just a researcher. I just the observer. I'm outside of the teaching and learning groups. I'm not a part of teacher, and I'm also not part of students. I just observe I just say how teacher interactive with students and how students discuss and deal with task. That is observation. There are some advantages of the observation. The first is the first-hand experience. Observation is a really good data collection way to get the first-hand experience. Because observation is we say the things happening in real time and real places, and even researchers could be a participant to experience it. So that is a point that all of other data collection ways that cannot do. Also, the recording, because the researcher attend or they observe the things in real time, in a real place, so the record is also in real time. It's very direct. and and also because it's real time and real space, and even the researcher experience it, so the researcher can view things or can find some unusual aspect that researchers who using another data collection ways cannot find. Also, observations can is a good option uh to collect data for some special topics which might uncomfortable for participants to discuss. And so we're using the observations way to observe the things happen. Of course, there are also some limitations for the observation. I prefer to call it the challenge of the for us to do observation. First is that the researcher or observer might be seen as intrusive, because the original group, the people they might mind people who not belong to the original group to to do the same things with them, to join them or observe them. Also, there during the observation, some private information um, might be uh, posed by the researcher or observed by the researcher. So there are some private issue um, in the observations. We have to consider about that. Demanding a observation demands the researcher have a good attending and observing skills, like what point that we have to pay more attention and how we make a good relationship and don't make the participants uncomfortable, blah, 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 right? And also security issue, especially when we observe some vulnerable group like children's group, um, elderly people's group, or some other disabled group. We have to be careful about that. Last, it may be expensive because in observation, everything is real time and real place. So we might spend a long time. Also, we might need to get to some place that is difficult to reach. So observation might we might need to spend quite a lot of time and money for that. The second data collection way is interview. Interview is a kind of meeting that researcher conduct to ask questions to participants in order to get the information he or she needs. That is what I define the interview. Crosswell lists four different types of or four options of interviews. First one is the face-to-face one-on-one in-person interview. And 2 to 4 could be alternative options for the face-to-face one-on-one in-person interview, because sometimes maybe the interview uh, are limited by the time or the space. So using we can use telephone interview or telephone interviews that interviews by phone or some other uh, social apps, or the focus group interviews groups of participants. Or make the interview through the email internet interview. Mm, if we do the interviews, there are some good advantages of it. Is some special topics. As I said before, some special topics might be really good to use in observations, because some topics might be uncomfortable for participants to discuss. Also, some topics might be difficult for or uncomfortable for participants to be observed. and using interview is a good orienting way, or something is happened already. So, and we can't observe it, and we need to discuss with the participants, and so this is a good way to collect the data. Also, because of something that's already happened, and the participant is talk about things, history, talk about things in history. It's already in the past. So interview can help us to get historical information from participants. Also, compared with observations, uh, we are not just a participant uh, or observer, and we can't control the things happen. The researcher or interviewers ask a question to let um, participant interviewee to answer. So actually is the interviewer uh, lead the progress of data collection. So from this view, I can see that researcher is more proactive than the researchers in observation. Also, there are some challenges or limitation for the interviews. If we want to do interview, we need to know the information that we get from interviews is indirect information. It's not direct as observation, because it's different time, and the interview place and the time of the interview is different from the things that happened. Uh, the location that things happened, and the time of course is afterwards the things happened, and then we can do the interview. Uh, it's neat interviewer have a really good interview skills. Because as I said, interviewer is more proactive. However, you need to lead a good interview. So how to lead a good interview, the researcher or interviewer need to express, to ask the questions, the very objective, without bias, and also interviewer don't should not to using some words, control his words to influence the view of participants, and how to lead a proper progress of the interview, and how to probe some point. It all of this demand interviewer have a really good interview skills. Also, not all participants are equally articulate. Some participants, they might describe something very clear, but some people, they can't. The third is document. Document is I define this, it's a way that researchers collect documents information as a data to be analyzed. And Crosswell categorize documents in two types. One is a public document, like a newspaper, means a meeting, policy document, blah, blah, blah. And another one is private documents, like personal stuff, personal diaries, letters, emails, and so on. The advantage of document is the first one is documents method can break through the limitation of time and space. So if we want to research some things happening in another country and we can't reach there, or we want to research something happened 50 years, 100 years, 1,000 years ago, we need to through this way to collect the data, because the people, the participant, we can't see them. They might be already died, but there are some documents left, and we can through documents to analyze and research that. And also because it's a document, so everything in written forms. The written forms normally it's already thought for, ready organized data, and that would be easier for us to to uh to collect them, organize them, to analyze, to yeah to get. And written form saves the cost of time and money to transcribes. Yes, that's true. And documents also have some challenges because it's some documents might be very difficult to find. So it's need us to have very uh high skills, high information searching skills. Also, not all people are equally articulate. Some documents might uh, note some things, record something very detailed and very clear as comprehensive, but some documents might not. And documents may not be authentic or accurate. Maybe something is faked document, or maybe something is, you know, uh, right one side, and we need to be careful. Last method is audio and visual materials. It's a type of data collection that researchers collected materials which are in the form of audio, video as a data to be analyzed. In this data collection method, the data that we collect are various form. It's like video types, audio types, photographs, blah blah blah, a lot. Uh, the advantage of it, of course, is also can break through the limitation of time and space, same as the documents method. Also, they provide the opportunity for participants to directly share their reality. Because many things are audio or video, the forms for the things happens, and we can say that we can analyze that. They're quite direct. That's good. Also, there are some challenges in this data collection way. Yes, um, it's because something is some material that we collect. It might be a photo or a piece of video or an artwork. So it's quite difficult to interpret. Um, Different people might give it a different explanation. That's possible, or even totally different. Or also the observer presence could be intrusive, same as observations that I mentioned. People who are outside of the group might be mined by the original group. So, for example, is such as like a presence of a photographer, and the original groups of people might do the things different, in different ways, um, as they as they do the things in most common way. Also, this the because the materials are in audio or video form, so it's might connect with involved the private issue. So this might so some video or some photos might not be easily accessible. That is another point. Of course, I have uh, mentioned such things, such uh, security issue or private issue many times. in this video, and those things will all need to be considered, well considered, before the data collection. It's in the preparation stage that every ethical issues, all of the ethical issues have to be well prepared and well considered. Of course, as for this point, I would like to talk about it more in my next video. Okay, that is the video that I talk about today to introduce the data collection in detail of the qualitative research. Thank you.